Well, hello and welcome to Audionaut Deep Space Network, episode 83. This is the Independent Musician's Guide to Production and Promotion. Today, we're talking all about recent Bandcamp purchase, the recent Bandcamp purchase. What does it mean for independent musicians who rely on the site? Who or what exactly is Songtradr, the company that bought them? And we'll also talk about our personal thoughts on the subject. Me personally, I've been using Songtradr for several years, forgot that I even had an account there, and then reopened it because of this. And we'll talk about that. Then finally, we'll also talk about personal branding as an artist, exploring how we can use themes and concepts to build connections with our fans. This is brought to us by one of our patrons, Frequency Control Center.
Yeah, very much so. And this show is brought wholeheartedly to us by our patrons who join us for the live show before it goes across to streamers out on Saturday. You can head to patreon.com to join us and share your opinions on the stream, as well as additional bonus content and hangouts. My name is Curtis, and with me back once again is Sunwolfer. How you doing, brother?
Hey, yeah, I'm sleepy, man. I'm very sleepy, but I am doing quite well. It's been a surreal couple weeks, very awesome. But it's good to have some semblance of normalcy being here.
That's what you need. That's what you need. Welcome back. It's lovely to have the Three Musketeers are back on it again. It's always lovely. So we have a sleep-addled Sunwolfer, and we also have a wonderful.
Actually, no, wait. According to Survey Channel, I might be AI. Maybe. I mean, guys, hold on. We gotta do the proof here. We gotta do the proof. I've got normal hands. Yeah,
they're the real thing.
It's the real me. I swear.
Unless it's a really sick AI holding up real hands.
Or very, very advanced. I do also want to say hello to all of our patrons in the chat. It is great to hear from all of you. Before we get to Eon Lake really quick, I do want to say we've got Shady Ridge in the chat. How are you? We've got Bendu. Awesome to see you. Hydro Fighter, who apparently he won't be able to join much. That's a total bummer, but we look forward to seeing you when we can. I know that mandatory work stuff, no bueno. We've also got David in the chat. Eon Lake is even in the chat. I don't know how he's in two places at once. But the man is
AI.
That powerful. Maybe it's AI. Maybe he's got the AI. Show your hands, Eon Lake. Proof of it. There we go. Okay. This is like our
original.
This is our Turing test. The audionautic Turing test is the proof of hands. And yeah. But Eon Lake, how are you?
I'm okay. Yeah. It's good to have the three of us again. It's nice. And now you know what I mean about becoming a dad.
It's just like sleep deprivation, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of
stress. Really sharp, witty, had lots to say. And then I had children and I became a shadow.
I don't know, man. When we talk about drums, you still have a lot to say. So
exactly. My other children over there.
Other children, yeah.
They're all my children. All of my toys here.
David's proven he's not AI in the chat with his hands up. Appreciate it. That might need to be the start of every episode. Everybody in the chat needs to prove you're not an AI model of yourself.
Yeah.
Curtis, what have you been up to?
It's been a busy one. I have had very little time for production this week. My lights in my theatre are still what is scientifically known as fucked. So I've been fixing that. Foobar. Yeah, I've been going through rewiring, recabling, resetting, redoing, and getting there slowly. I'm getting there slowly. So it's been a lot of long hours and lots of overtime in the real world. Not much time spent here, but at the same time, I also managed to send you one more song for my album. So
I love how as soon as Luca, my son, comes, everybody's hitting me up for mastering. I'm like, oh. Okay. I'm not complaining. I love it. I love mastering and all that, but I'm like, just okay. I need a sec.
Keep him busy.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's nice to get when I can find the minutes. I still have to download a few of my mastering chain effects to my laptop, so I actually have to come in the shed to do the masters, which it proves difficult sometimes. But I got to get. I need to get that clipper that you recommended, Eon Lake, from SoftTube or TK. What it's like soft. I don't know. There's a clipper that you recommended that I use, and then I
got
love the.
saturation in it as well, isn't it? It does
I think
a bit
so,
of
and then
both.
I love the L1 limiter from Waves, and now at least that you're able to buy them independently, I have to rebuy it, but so I got to get that. But yeah, that I Curtis, I know the one constant during this last few weeks has been you having issues with your lighting rig. I wake up like, let's see, has he solved it? And it's like, no, I talked with the company at like 4 a.m. my time. It's still not working. I'm like, oh boy.
No. No, we're getting there slowly. Crocs are croc-em, as the Czechs would say. I'm not so much of a lighting technician, as probably you're aware. I'm more of a sound engineer, and who would have thunk it? So when these things go awry, it takes me a little bit longer. But we're
That's
getting
good
there.
to get out
We're
of your
getting there.
comfort zones. And I
Oh,
like I
yeah.
told you, if it makes you feel any better, I know how to plug power into a light, and that's about it. Like when it comes to lighting rigs and stuff. So you know more than me. And really quick, want to say hello to Maureen's friend. I know it's him because he's got the hands up. So
Yeah.
There you
Check
go.
them. Yeah.
Yep.
100% real.
Yeah, but chat, how are you guys? Let us know how you guys have been. It's been a while since I made it a little bit, I think, last week, but I don't even know what I said on last week's chat because I was just there to be there. I was
You've just been in a mirage of
Why we have
yeah,
disinformation.
I could barely hear because the baby was crying, and I was like, well, I'm here. That's what matters. But love to hear from everybody. It's good to see you also. I'd love to hear how you all have been. Let us know. But Curtis, what should we get into the news? This is pretty
before
crazy.
we do that, what's that thing in front of Curtis?
This way.
What's that?
I finally managed to get myself a brand new microphone. Hello, look at this little guy.
Yeah,
it's cute, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's very cute. Yeah. I don't know how much difference it's going to make.
Well, you're not turning into like a dubstep, just like warble. So we've made progress, I think.
Making progress on that front, and I'm hoping that because it's USB and it's not going through an interface, I'm hoping that it's going to unlock from this end the ability to do more live demos in Ableton. I've been having problems because I run on a Windows. You guys have got loopback for Mac, but I have a Windows, and so there's nothing. There are a few bits and bobs, but it's a bit more convoluted, and I am not particularly computer literate, so it's been causing me problems. But the aim, as we keep saying, is to do more of these live demos, and this is the first step in towards that, so to speak. So we're hoping when things get a bit less crazy after TEDx next week, I think we'll be able to do a bit more. But here's hoping. We've got a demo from you next week, which we're going to talk more about later. Because first we've got some big news, but that's why we're hoping. But yeah,
I do want to say though, even if you can't do the Ableton stuff and all that, the better sound of the mic is it's music to my ears, literally.
Interesting. It's nice to see. I'm glad everyone's happy.
Say again, Jan. Like
it hasn't dropped out once. It's been...
Yeah, that's true. Don't jinx it.
It's cool. I mean, I know that you guys have previously used the Yeti and that you're using a few different ones. And I thought, for the sake of difference, I went for the Sennheiser Performer, I think it's called.
Okay.
It seems to be
we
nice.
Can do a review roundup.
Maybe.
Microphone roundup,
We're gonna see what this is like. I opted to not go for the Rode. You guys know I love Rode, but I love these little dials on the side, which the Rode doesn't have. So I was like, I've got to have dials, man. I've got to have knobs.
Knobs. Bit there. Has it got lights too?
It's got one.
Yeah, there's like some green or something. Yeah, there you go.
Green light. Yeah. And it turns red if I mute it. It's cool.
Was fun.
It's cool.
That's that alert that Hydro Fighter. If you guys heard that, that's that alert that Hydro Fighter mentioned that everyone in the US would get. Sorry if everyone got that, but now you know what we're dealing with over here. So there you go.
Well, people didn't tune in to hear about my new microphone. They tuned in to hear
this alert
going down and back. Or this alert. People tuned in to hear about what's going on in the world. The Discord has been alive with chatter this week, which is lovely because Bandcamp has been bought out once more. It's only been 18 months since we sat down to discuss this ourselves, but Bandcamp has been bought out. And Songtradr has gone mental with the note taking. So we'll start with Songtradr and then we'll go into what the community's saying. I'll take over. So Songtradr, take it away, brother.
Yeah, so this just really quick. David in the chat, Luke is crying now. Yeah, probably. I might get a text from a wife and have to go in for a minute, but we'll see. But I totally forgot that was right. I knew people were talking about that alert was going to happen, but I did not realize it was right during this. My sense of time and just circadian rhythm is gone. So sorry about that, everyone. But we're all right. Let's get on to the topic at hand, which is Bandcamp bought by Songtradr. Now, I'm curious, chat, are any of you familiar with the company Songtradr? And I asked this because in a little bit, I was shocked by the moves Songtradr has been making since 2019. And I'm curious, Curtis, have you ever heard of Songtradr?
Heard of it, never used it.
Okay, and Eon Lake?
I have I used it? I have an account on it, and I have 2 songs on it. And just before the show, I logged into it to see what's happened to them over the last few years. And yeah, not much.
And when did you sign up?
It was a few years ago.
Okay, yeah. So I signed up in 2017. I'll talk about that though in a minute because it has changed quite drastically. I hadn't used it since 2019, and I was shocked at how sparse it had become. And we were talking about that in the Discord. Really quick, I appreciate everybody in the chat. David said no, never heard of it. Frequency Control Center said never heard of Songtradr before, and Bendu said never heard of it before they bought Bandcamp. Yeah, I figured that would be the common theme. And if you're watching this back on any of the podcast platforms or on YouTube after we're live, let us know in the comments if you'd ever heard of Songtradr or if you've ever used them and you had heard of them. I'm very curious because I'm going to get into it. So, Curtis, if you don't mind sharing that blog post that I put, the first link of many that I've given you to open today. I'm gonna talk what they say about their Bandcamp acquisition, and then we'll talk what Songtradr is, because I want to hear from them and share what they're saying. So let me share this, and there's a couple paragraphs that I think are important. Curtis, are you able to zoom in at all?
Yeah. Let's have a look.
If not, I'll go full screen. But yeah, perfect.
No,
perfect. Those 2 paragraphs are the key ones, the top and bottom one. The one under it. Yeah. They're spaced by a filler one. So basically, Songtradr, which they themselves call a music licensing platform and marketplace company supporting artists, labels, and publishers, and Epic Games, a leading interactive entertainment company and provider of 3D engine technology with their Unreal Engine, they announced today, this is a couple days ago, that Songtradr is acquiring Bandcamp. Songtradr will continue to operate Bandcamp as a marketplace and music community with an artist-first revenue share. Songtradr will also offer Bandcamp artists the ability and choice to have their music licensed to all forms of media, including content creators, game and app developers, and brands. This will enable artists to continue to own and control their rights, music rights, and increase their earning capacity from Songtradr's global licensing network. So that's kind of the key of Songtradr. It's the way I described it is what it used to really be was like a submit hub for sync placements. They used to post it. So I started using it in 2017. Okay. And they used to post, like, companies and media would, licensing companies, sync companies would post things like looking for music in the style of, I never saw this one, but I'm just going to say it because it's in my mind, Boards of Canada, for a commercial that's blah, blah, blah. And then you would go and you would pitch to them a song that you had on the website. And then it would get shortlisted if they liked it. And then however many they shortlisted, they would choose one. And then you get notified either it got chosen or it didn't. And you'd get money, and they would take a 50% fee of it. And I can show you, I got a song placed on some, like, I think it was a Korean, like, marketplace thing where it would go in malls or something. It might've been somewhere else, but it was $5 that I got for the song, and I got $2.50, and that's still in the bank there on Songtradr. That was the only one I ever got listed for, but this was a long time ago. Now that whole thing, that, like, marketplace, is gone, and there's just a few options where Songtradr asks, oh, we're looking for a song in this style. They don't say the company or anything, and you can submit, and it says if you're shortlisted, you're not confirmed to be in it, we'll just let you know. So they, like, reduced all that. And you used to have credits, just like Submit Hub. You had free credits and paid ones. The Pro, you could submit, I think, unlimited, or it would give you more. So they kept decreasing and making it more monetized and more monetized. And now it's just this kind of shell of it. And then there's this separate section now called monetization, where you can opt into all these sync opportunities, but you don't do anything for it. It's just like, if your keywords are there and the company searches that keyword, they might shortlist you. It's way less interactive and way less user friendly, I would say. But so that's where they're at now. If any patrons or anybody in the chat is curious about what the Pro now offers, because it kind of sounds like that older style I described is still there for the Pro, let us know, because we'll check it out. We'll use some patron support to get Pro for a month, and we can report back if anybody's curious, because I think this is kind of where this Bandcamp thing's going. So that's the first one. Now let's talk about what Songtradr is. I mean, we kind of described it, but it's a marketplace, right? And it's changed over the years. They're claiming that they're going to secure licensing deals for Bandcamp, including with Epic Games, who they just bought from, which will continue to collaborate with Bandcamp on projects like Fortnite Radio, which I think is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but one of the only things Epic did with Bandcamp. They integrated a Fortnite Radio with it. I think that's one of the few. I think Lars, one of our patrons, mentioned they got it on Apple CarPlay too, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah,
you mentioned that.
Yeah, that's like all they did. And then I think Survey Channel, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you mentioned Bandcamp unionized or tried to unionize like right before Epic sold them. So that's an interesting thing. And I believe there's been talk. Pitchfork, which we have an article from, asked some questions about this stuff, but they've declined a lot. Now, I do want to get into something I found very interesting, because this is why I asked everybody if you're familiar with Songtradr. Everybody said no, right? Well, they've bought, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've bought like 7 or 8 companies for millions of dollars since 2019. We've got, in 2019, they acquired creative licensing agency Big Sync Music. 2020, they acquired Q Songs, originally founded by singer-songwriter Peter Gabriel. In 2022, they merged those two, Big Sync and Q Songs. Also in 2020, they invested 1.42 million Australian. What's their currency? Is it
dollars?
Dollars? Okay. Australian dollars into a company called Jaxta. They followed that by a further 3 million Australian dollars in April 2022. In 2021, they bought Songzoo, a sound design company with studios in Sydney and Singapore. They bought, in April of that year, a music streaming platform called Pretzel and another one called TuneFind. 2021, they also acquired Massive Music, and they got a metadata company, Music Cube. There's like 2 or 3 more, and then they just bought Bandcamp. So they are dropping tons of money and buying stuff up left and right, but it seems like very few have even heard of them. So I don't know there, but I'm going to that's my long thing. We can talk the Pitchfork part next, a little bit, that they declined to comment about a few things, but I'm curious to get Curtis and Eon Lake's take. Eon Lake, you probably have something important to say here. That's very optimistic and cheery. Do you mind starting us off?
I think everything's wonderful. It's all wonderful. We should continue to love each other, and yeah, everything's going to be fine. But oh, sorry about this. Yeah. I don't know what I think yet. I'll be honest. I'm reserving judgment. There is a part of me, and he's so cynical. I don't talk to him very much, but there is a part of me that says, well, what do Epic know that they want to sell after such a short time? It's more about that, really, my thinking, than particularly Songtradr buying them. Songtradr buying them seems to make a bit of sense in the shooting fish in a barrel sort of sense. Why have people come to you to submit their songs and everything when you can get a line into them directly? But yeah, I don't know what I think about that yet. We'll wait and see.
Wait till I actually read the next article too, because there's a few things they declined to comment on that I didn't like. But let's hear from Curtis.
Another thing, because I think
they're
in the acquisition and the phase where they will spend a few months looking through everything, and then maybe start making decisions about where they're going. They've probably got an idea already, but we'll review the business first and see how it works. But I'm hoping that the fact that they're not commenting on any of this stuff is just, hey, just what you see, pal. Just a press release for now. We're not, communicating anything, and I certainly don't have the power to express an opinion on anything, rather than anything more shady than that. That it's like, well, big changes, but we're not ready to reveal it yet. I think it is probably more just at the moment. Yeah, just a press release is all we're going to say. And we'll figure it out later. But
I like that. Buy it and then see what happens.
Yeah.
Can I just share one of my concerns, because that brings up something?
By all means, go ahead.
Before we get to Curtis, I want to hear from you, Curtis. This is my big concern. So I already mentioned how they went from having these free credits and the paid version, and then they would lessen and lessen how many free credits you'd get. And then that's why I just stopped. It became like the free submission was useless, basically. And now that's all basically gone. But my concern is, so to do licensing and things like that, that's going to require copyright. And they do, to answer Bendu's question in the chat, they do distribute music. I've never tried them. We can try something maybe if you guys want to see. But I'm concerned that the more you start doing sync licensing and things like that, you're bringing into copyright checking. They have to do copyright checks. They even you can opt in the songs you upload on them for YouTube ad revenue, which means they're part of that content ID thing. That's a nightmare on YouTube. So my concern there is all of that stuff requires an increase in copyright, which requires money and things like that. I'm wondering if they're going to issue in like a tiered system. This is just concern on my part, no confirmation whatsoever, to get into those things, which I guess they might have to, and I understand, but is it going to happen like what Songtradr did, lessening the free submissions, where just using Bandcamp as we do now, is that going to become less and less useful because things are going to get locked behind paywalls and things like that? Again, not confirmed, not even mentioned, but what they're saying they're going to enable Bandcamp users to do, while good, I'm wondering if there's a catch. And Curtis, one last thing. We've got a couple chats. David says, are we getting ready to pay for accounts? I don't know. That's what I'm concerned about. And then he says, maybe Bandcamp was actually worth something. It's possible. They didn't disclose the amount. Curtis, what's your thoughts on this?
I think that the Epic Games purchase, while we were all kind of optimistic at the notion when it came out, and they actually did nothing with it.
True.
To see it then go on to something else can only be a good thing. Something's better than nothing, perhaps. Now, Bendu says it. Bendu says it already. So Bandcamp already has pro accounts. So
true.
I mean,
will they increase the price?
Yeah, but
or 3 tiers. But that's true, Bendu. You're right. They do.
The question is, what would they do with that money if that was the case? Now, I don't mind spending a bit of money. I pay for DistroKid, and they're great, and they distribute, and it's an investment in my work and art. I don't mind. Bandcamp has always had, we've always said, it always has the potential to be the absolute grassroots streaming service or platform for us indie artists, and it is, and it has such potential to grow and be something more than it currently is. Now, Songtradr look like they've got a lot of money behind them. Now, in my limited notion of and knowledge of business, you're in your acquisition phase and you're growing and you're expanding, and either they'll do something with it or they're buying it just to ensure that no one else buys it, so to speak. So I obviously hope for the former, not the latter. But they got a lot of money. They have a long history in the music industry. They have seemingly great connections with other companies now because they own them all. I mean, that can't necessarily be a bad thing. I would like to see it. I'd like to see a more homegrown grassroots kind of merch stand through Bandcamp more than it already is. So
the concern though is it going to go that way with grassroots, or with everything they do and their streaming nature and things like that? Are they going to bring in streaming, which again requires all the royalty payments and all that stuff? It's an interesting thought process. I can see it in this optimistic way, and then I can see it in this pessimistic or dystopian way. Like, it could go either way, and I guess my past experience of how they've changed their website over time colors it to be a little more pessimistic, which I mentioned in the Discord feels rare for me because I always try to be the optimistic one, but I'm like, real quick, I do want to share this. This is Songtradr. This is my account. This is the opt-ins you can do. So US Mechanical Royalty Collection, which they say pros don't do, like the pros, BMI and stuff. Here's the YouTube monetization. I don't know if I can zoom in. Sorry, I'm on the screen. So let me just see. Is that any bigger, or did that just get messy?
Yeah,
okay. Then there's this network TV opportunity. Make your music available for various networks. There's a Twitch one, TikTok, stock music and YouTube licensing, resellers, business overhead radio. I think that's what one of my songs was on, that one I mentioned. App games and platforms, compilation albums, and Big Sync music. So Big Sync's one of the ones they bought. Remember, it was like the first one they bought. So that's one of the things. So that's that. And then if we go to, let me go to monetization, not monetization. I'm sorry. Distribution. I've never done it, but you can see it goes to Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, Deezer, Tidal, Amazon Music. Not many, if that's all they go to. But interesting. And then let's see, where's that? Here's the music wanted. This is all it is now. Just a couple that are open, and you just go and you can submit 2 songs to each of these, which is actually a little better than you just get 4 submissions per month. So it's kind of better, but kind of not, because it's just you just like submit 2 songs, no text or anything, and then it's just if it gets chosen, it gets chosen.
I hear this now. What's the alternative, right? The alternative is like traditional distribution, right? Through like in the UK, you've got PRS. Here in the Czech Republic, we have OSA, for example. I don't know what it is over in.
Is that like BMI and ASCAP? Is that what you're talking about?
BMI,
the pros,
ASCAP, stuff like that. Yeah, right. Now,
so you still have to have that for this, or should it's separate?
Well, this is what I'm saying. So if you've got this, right? So everything I've got, everything I've made commercially, and everything I've made personally is all up in OSA, right? Now, it takes on average from submission to contract to paycheck, the delay is about 2.5 years, which is insane. It's an insane delay, and that is all based on things such as a revenue, your payment to be on the platform, where they're getting their where you're collecting royalties from. It doesn't include neighboring rights, all this stuff, right? The real question is, what's their time lapse? If you are going to get on a sync licensing, for example, what's their cut? How long are you going to take to get the royalties? Is there a threshold? These are the things that we need to know if there's going to be anything to come through to see if it's worth it. If they're going to do that and do it effectively and do that more effectively than what's already on the market, sure, that's great. And if they're going to develop Bandcamp in that regard, even better. But again, too early to tell. Press release is all we've got. And I remain optimistic. But yeah. That's where we're going.
I don't know. I want to be optimistic about it. I think if it's all opt-ins like Songtradr is now, that's great. But like you're saying, it does depend all of this. And like I said, I don't know if it still is, but the previous free version of Songtradr cut was 50%. And I believe you get 80% and they take 20 if you're pro. So even if you're paying them, there is a split still. But I mean, I guess I kind of get that because you're using their network and all that stuff. But still, before I go into this Pitchfork article, we've got a couple more comments. David says, I'm pessimistic. Get ready for spam. And then Survey Channel says, imagine this being a good thing. David is concerned that they're going to prey on young producers. That's his fear. Hydro Fighter, little different, says, I wouldn't become afraid too soon. The transaction just happened. My guess is this is what Eon, like was saying too, they'll have to analyze their tech debt just to keep it running, as is before any major changes can happen. Survey Channel says, but I was also very pessimistic about Epic buying. Unfortunately, we can't predict what they'll do, but with corporations, you can't trust them. Yeah, to that point, I mean, we talked about in an episode on Epic, and I'll link it in the description after. Hold on, Eon, like 1 second. After this, it'll go in the description if you want to watch our original thoughts about the Epic thing, because we made all this. Oh, is it going to be doom and gloom? Is it good? And nothing changed, like Survey Channel saying. Now, was that due to they were just trying to test something? Because I remember there was a whole talk about the Apple storefront or whatever on iOS takes like a bigger percentage or something, and the Epic and Apple have been in this big lawsuit and all this, so there was some thought that might be it, but who knows? But they never really changed anything. A couple bits more. It's just the chat's going. I appreciate it. Let me, Eon, like I still want to hear from you, but Benji says I'm also pessimistic. Perhaps they know what they have, though. Perhaps, yeah. Hydro Fighter says, I wonder if they're going to make their employees go back into the office. That would be mean. I mean, his bias is definitely colored there because he's going back into the office. Hey, but maybe if they don't. Yeah. Well, okay. This is a really good tie-in to what Well, let's go to Ian like before I read this pitchfork thing because he was kind enough to raise his hand. So I want to hear from you, Ian. Like,
All I
go ahead,
wanted
my
to say
friend.
was it's kind of funny that I'm kind of between the two of you on the screen because I think that's where I am really.
Oh,
I
dang it! I was hoping that.
okay.
Wait, can I adjust you? There we
there
go.
we I think most people are looking at this and thinking, "Oh no, they're not going to mess up Bandcamp, are they?" Because that's where this is really coming from, right? It's a loved and trusted resource for labels and artists and everybody, and we want to know that they're not going to stuff it up. And in response to that, I would just say, look, Twitter, right? That's been royally messed up, but
You mean
someone
X?
else
I've never
will
heard of
come
Twitter.
along. Yeah. Well, exactly.
Lord,
I've never heard of X. It's stupid. But anyway, someone else will come along and do it. If they mess it up enough, there will be another one because there's a market, but there's a market for it. There's money there, you know? So I hope they don't. But I do feel confident that if they do, someone else will come along and fix it, you know, because there is a huge market for this. There's money to be made. Somebody will want to take that money.
Yeah, that's my
As a,
like. It doesn't need to be a streaming company. We have those.
Yeah.
It's good to have a place that is more like we talk about the funnel of
Yeah.
fan to artist. So you have these casual listeners who find you on YouTube or on streaming platforms, and yeah, maybe you get a small percentage of royalties from that. But the goal is then to turn those fans, those casual listeners, into fans who then will seek you out on Bandcamp where they can support you or buy merchandise and things like that. So that's important. And Bendu's got a really good point in the chat. He says it's possible that they have more insight in how to work with Bandcamp, unlike Epic. And yeah, that's true because they actually work with music. I mean, yeah, it's sync, but you know, there's that. I think this is also just Curtis. I know you were going to say something. This is also a huge reason to always have your own domain, your own website, and have merch, have your music there. Like I mentioned in the Patreon, I made a website. I get a lot of traffic for the blog there that follows my YouTube channel. I have my albums there to buy. I have merch. I've never seen a sale on it, but it's there. And if stuff goes down, I at least have a place that I control that I can, you know, guide people to still from Spotify and things like that.
You know what's going
Curtis,
to happen to
oh,
that
go ahead.
because you control it, right?
Exactly. I mean, nothing's certain, right? Like, you know, the company you're using to have the domain, something could happen, but it's like far more of a certainty than a company that's getting bought and sold and bought, you know, things like that. Curtis, what were you going to say?
I wonder, and I might be going off on a bit of a tangent here. I wonder if, firstly, whether Songtradr will allow their employees to unionize, and also perhaps maybe if they did, maybe they saw the fact that Epic didn't allow or didn't like the fact of unionization and thought, you know, we want to treat our workers a bit better than that, and then bought them. Maybe, hopefully.
I mean, that's a good tie-in to that Pitchfork article. Do you have anything else you want to say
It is.
before we move over to that?
Let's go straight to it because I think we've got a lot. We've got more. We've got the Discord is sorry, the chat has been alive, and the Discord during the week's been alive. I want to go through it, so let's go to Pitchfork.
All right, let's go over to it. So I will share it. So the main part, I mean, it's really just the news, but the main part that I wanted to say was where is it? In that second paragraph, Curtis, near the end of it, asked whether artist revenue shares, user experience, or the editorial platform Bandcamp Daily will be affected by the acquisition. Songtradr declined to comment. A representative for Epic Games also declined to comment on the sale, pointing to the company's public announcement, which didn't really say anything. Also of note, I be remiss in not mentioning this. The sale, as they say, was announced when Epic announced that they were laying off 16% of its workforce. So there's also that. Down at the bottom, the Pitchfork says this year's members of Bandcamp editorial, design, support, and engineering staffs unionized. Bandcamp United shared a brief statement on social media on Friday, and this was posted September 28th, which was last week. So that Friday, I don't have the date on hand again with this baby. I don't know what day it even is right now, but they wrote on Thursday, Epic Games announced that Songtradr is acquiring Bandcamp. Thanks everyone for your support and solidarity as we go through this transition. We're still preparing for our scheduled negotiations on 10.2 and 10.3. So that just happened with Epic Games and have submitted a formal request to management for more information about the sale. Bandcamp United is looking forward to bargaining with Songtradr in the near future regarding wages, working conditions, and benefits. It's our hope that Songtradr honors our existing progress, including union security and preserving artists' first mission in our collective bargaining agreement. that we've already made at the bargaining table. Stay tuned. So I don't know if there's been an update. Again, that was last week. They said they had talks on the 2nd and 3rd of October. So that's yesterday and the day before. So we'll check back up on that, and we'll talk about that. If there's been any updates, we can cover that next week. You guys have anything else before Curtis gets into the Discord?
No. Let's go to that.
We've silenced Eon Lake. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
I think we've stumped him, which is cool. Hopefully we'll see more. I assume that as soon as there's a little trick, we'll have to have a longer show just to account for the tirade, which will unfold.
That's true. I might have to leave early for that one.
We'll do an X-rated show.
That's a Patreon exclusive one, I guess.
Yeah, Patreon exclusive. Yeah, entirely.
Yeah, I can use all the curse words he wants.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, during all this, we've just lost Sunwalker. I'm sure he'll be back.
That's not even the slightest bit alarming since he's in control. Oh well.
Yeah, here we go. Oh, he's popped back in. He's in the green room. Hang on. Here you go, brother.
Button on my computer, and it just was like, nope.
Yeah. Not that button.
Yeah, not that button. No. This is where the sleep deprivation is coming in. So, just further proof that I'm not an AI, or maybe it's proof that I am and I glitched out. I don't know.
Representing for fathers everywhere.
It's Glitch Warper.
So ultimately, the question comes down to whether it manifests or not. And like I say, the chat's been quite alive, but also the Discord was alive, and we want to do it. And if you want to get involved in the chat, head over to our Discord channel. All these things that we talk about, we go into deeper depth, and as a community, we discuss it in our Discord. So the link is down below if you want to get involved. Or if you want to DM us, we can send you a link and you can get you signed up, that kind of thing. It's a good place. It's good fun. But yes, can this be considered positive for Bandcamp's growth? Now, obviously, the jury's still out to a certain degree, but I wanted to share with some people some updates from what people in the Discord were saying. So, Lars, Haur, one of our patrons and curator of Fringes of Sound, a wonderful, wonderful little online magazine, he's tentatively hopeful about it. It could help out since they have connections in the sync and licensing segment. However, they could just try to bleed us dry and ruin everything. There. That is fair. He also says that at the same time, it kind of makes sense. It's weird that a video game company bought a music platform. It won't have an effect for a while. It may have some more positive effects as far as promotion and networking, but we can also see how it might get a bit greedy. ASF Stripe, another patron, says, if you went into debt to fund this acquisition, I'm worried, but I wonder if they'll try to get Bandcamp folks to purchase more services like licensing, etc. Which education in that, again, that's what I'm saying, education in that factor is a really good aspect. It's more than just getting streaming royalties. Sync licensing is really important.
No, I think finally, the opportunity it opens up could be really good. The concern is just how they go about doing it.
Yes, completely and utterly. Yeah, completely. And finally, Le Mort d'Abbé. That certainly sounds positive. One commenter asked about covering licensing. I would love for BC to take up the mantle. I have one I'd like to put, and there would be open to doing more if they did, open to doing more music if sync licensing was involved. At the same time, they work for a megacorp, and there was some massive, huge changes, and you just never know on the back end of this. So again, some positivity, some negativity, but ultimately, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, I posed the question on my Instagram, and almost everybody was just saying, like, can't wait to see what useless thing they add, or they're gonna give them 5 months until they mess up the UI or something. But it is interesting to note. I mean, Bandcamp's website has never been updated. Like, the actual artist page is the same as it's always been, basically. It's interesting that none of that has ever changed. I mean, don't fix what's not broken, right? But it's kind of like a time warp when you see the website. It's like not archaic, but of an older time, let's say, or something, right?
That's very true. Yeah, but I also think at the same time, it's not done this thing that everyone seems to want to do, and Musk is a particular champion of this. It's like diversifying to every bloody thing under the sun, and make it dilute its use, its purpose, and so on. it's actually serving a purpose and has done it quite well, and to the point where it can suffer having a UI that's perhaps a little dated and only having just introduced the concepts of playlists and stuff like that. I think it kind of, in a way, goes to show it's been popular despite all these things.
I mean, it's a platform that's needed. It has its purpose and it works great. And I'm not criticizing the way it looks. It's cool. I'm just saying it's interesting. Like there's been no need to update it. Yeah, they could make it more flashy and they added video and things like that, but its actual like UX or UI is pretty much the same as it's always been. It is very customizable.
It doesn't seem to be fighting for your attention in the same way as other platforms do. Like streaming platforms are all about trying to keep you engaged and look, new music is really new. Look, this just came straight out of the artist's mouth. It's new, fresh. You know, whereas Bandcamp, it just survives on what it is and the fact that people want to go there and look at stuff.
I also think Bandcamp Daily and the new and notable, and even like on the bottom of a album page, it recommends like, oh, supporters also support this. There's a lot of really cool ways they do, I guess, algorithmic, not necessarily algorithmic, but suggestions and things like that in a way that's so much more artist friendly than what Spotify does, right? Where Spotify just makes these algorithms based on what you're listening to and throws the randomest stuff at you. And it's what's new and what's this and what's that. And here's some canvases and this and that. Whereas Bandcamp is, it's like useful to the listener and useful to you as an artist because they're recommending based on what people are buying or supporting and things like that. A couple bits in the chat. Bendu says Bandcamp is quite customizable, though you need to put the effort in. No, it's very customizable. And that's really cool, but it's just very kind of like old look. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not saying I'm not saying it in a negative way, but it's just, it hasn't changed a lot. They've never really changed much of that. And I don't think they need to. I'm just mentioning it's interesting. J Bell says time warp or a sun warp. And then there's an emoji, but of course it doesn't show on StreamYard. But yeah. And David says true, Eon Lake.
Oh, thank you, David.
There you go. Be nice to see where it comes down. There are more opportunities available, and I do believe that if you're going to buy a company and you are invested in the music industry, you're aware of all the streaming websites, and you might also be aware of how social media as a separate entity is now basically a race to the bottom with everyone doing the same thing and there's no variety. Asef Stripe always said that as well. He said it in the Discord, I remember it now, about having a competitor drives something new. Now with Bandcamp having all of these other aspects to its platform, which, okay, despite its UI, its UX and UI being somewhat archaic, it does provide something different and something slightly more, so to speak, for the indie musician than say Spotify or Apple Music.
Oh yeah.
I do want to believe in the sanity and the forward thinking of your venture capitalists, so to speak, and say that they might understand this and want to keep those things and not just turn it into another kind of grinding money machine for themselves.
Can I be slightly optimistic to end this and just point out a possible future that could be interesting?
Yeah, please
so
do.
I showed you in the distribution page. Say again, Eon Lake.
Have a go.
All right, I'll have a go. Let me see. You let me know if this is a utopic idea or am I just talking dystopic, right? You know, so okay, I showed you the distribution page of Songtradr, right? And you could add a new album or add a new single, and it would go to all the streaming platforms they offer. And it didn't look like that many, but the main players were there. And they also allow YouTube Content ID, which I think is actually cool, even though the Content ID is kind of not the best. But it is another way to get some money. If you have a YouTube and you do live sets or something, you might be able, if you can't advertise on YouTube, you could get it that way. But what if it becomes this sort of one-stop shop? I believe that distribution is free too, but they take a higher back end. But you can get your music on Bandcamp just uploading to Songtradr, right? Like it's interconnected, and it goes to all these streaming platforms at either a low price or this revenue share thing. But hopefully the Bandcamp revenue share would be the same, but then they would take this higher percentage of the streaming and stuff because they're distributing. That could be nice. You might cut out these distributor middlemen and get everything done in one spot. I don't know. Does that sound like a nice opportunity, or does that sound even worse? Chat, You guys, Curtis and Neon Lake, let me know. But I'm just thinking that might be something. I'm trying to see the optimistic
not
side, right?
necessarily a bad thing, yeah, and it would make sense if they're trying to do that, bring everything under one roof. You don't need to go anywhere else, sort of thing.
Shop.
As long as they do a good enough job.
Yeah,
and
the
it's not
concern would be:
expensive.
are they going to take the same cut, right? If they take of the streaming that they take with the Bandcamp, that would not be that great. But if they could kind of merge the two and keep them as they are, that might be a nice way. You know, we love DistroKid, but that's 20 to 35 depending on how many artists you use a year, whereas this might be either lower or free. I'd have to look to make sure that it's free. I think it is, and they take like a high percentage on the back end, but it could be an interesting way if you don't really care about streaming but you like Bandcamp. You can still get those songs up. You know, you don't have to worry about it. They're there, but you can focus on Bandcamp and it's all in one spot. I don't know, it could be cool. Bendu says, if I could get digital distribution as a perk for my Bandcamp Pro account, that would make me happy. Yeah, that's another option. I mean, I was thinking even more free, but knowing them, that would probably be, as Bendu's describing, that it would be a perk for the Bandcamp Pro. But who knows? I'm just throwing it out. So just an idea. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else, gentlemen, before we move on?
No, I think I agree with Ben, though.
Yeah, it looks like Survey Channel does too. And David says it's fine if it's an option, no additional cost. Don't scare away current users like Tweeter. Yeah, that's the $8 thing where they were limiting the. I think they stopped at that rate. What was that thing called where you could only view X amount of?
Yeah, I think they were tackling bots there, weren't they, and just making them flag up by limiting everyone.
Yeah. And Survey Channel says, or will it turn into Submit Hub for sync and licensing? I mean, it started more like that. And as I showed you, it kind of became less like that in a weird way. I don't know. I mean, there's so many ways this could go. That's why I wanted to bring this to the table and get everybody's opinion on it. Because like Curtis has a much more optimistic view. I'm more pessimistic, but I can see the optimism. And I can see like, hey, this could be a good thing if it's done right. Bandcamp has always been artist friendly. And if it stays that way with Songtradr, that's awesome. I mean, all these things that these two things could combine with, if done right, would be great. And Eon Lake is kind of in the middle there too, if I'm not speaking for you.
Yeah,
but,
it seems like they're going to want to amalgamate these things. So it's not just posting your music on Bandcamp for sale, but once you put it on there, do you want to set it up for sync as well? You know, do you want us to do some distribution to the streaming platforms too? Everything all in one place. You know, there are opportunities there if they do it right, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But let's hear from you guys. Everybody, if you're watching this back, let us know what's your take on this. Where do you think this is going to go? And chat, I know you've shared a ton. We really appreciate it. But if you have anything else you want to add, let us know. We're going to move on to the next topic shortly, but we can get back to it and we can cover more in the future as it develops.
Yeah. If you're watching back on streamers such as Spotify, it is the question of the week. What do you think of Bandcamp's buying out or Bandcamp being bought out? We want to know: are you optimistic? Are you a young producer, an old producer? I'd be curious to see whether, if you've been in the game for a long time or whether you're making your first beats, how those opinions change. That's what would be interesting for me. I think ASAP Stripe is right to a degree. It does have the potential to lure new, fresh producers down a darkened road if you're not too knowledgeable. I think education is key when it comes to licensing and distribution. You know, that is going to be key. So I hope people are going to be reading up. So I'd like to know what you think.
Yeah, definitely. Eon Lake, anything else you want to add before we move on?
I don't think so. I was just thinking that we might need to start recommending books on the on the subject for anyone who does want pointers. But yeah,
or just ask ChatGPT for a summary of it.
Yeah.
We got Survey Channel says, "Who is the owner? Let's get him on here and grill the ever living hell out of him." Hey, you're welcome to tweet Songtradr if you want to get him on here. Tweet, share the videos, share these live streams, help get the word out. Ask him. And we can, say, hey, hop on Audionautic and we'll try to get him on. J Bell says, I never made a dime off my music. So, I mean, yeah, that I do think it offers the opportunity and it's a streamlined way of trying to get sync. And I mean, sync, a lot of people will say is like the big way to make money as a musician and things like that for now. considering the ramifications of potential AI as it develops. But I mean, this is a streamlined opportunity to get in there. I had never had much luck with it. Sounds like Eon like never had much luck. I mean, we are making more left of field music and things like that. I have some that are more like lo-fi and things like that. But you know, it's hard to say as we make electronic music and things like that. We're not making like pop music or these super uplifting same chord progression songs that you hear in every commercial, right? So it's hard to say what's what there, but yeah.
It's also just to interject. It's just because you've never, to borrow J Bell's phrase, if you've never made a dime off your music by this point, doesn't mean that you're not going to down the line.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of producers these days, especially in our left of field existence, as you would say at Sunwalker, those who started to be successful, those who have started to make money and create a name for themselves are, you know, closer to the second half of their existence, so to speak. They're you know, beyond 50, sometimes beyond 60, you know, that kind of thing, and they've got family and kids, and you know, some still work part-time doing real jobs, but they're making real money. Like, takes time, and you've got to set the foundations in place before you go on.
That's very true. That's very true. I mean, I think that's the best way to end this. But yeah, I mean, I just think these more options, and like Eon like is saying, looking into these things, being informed about them, knowing they exist. Like when I went back to Songtradr because of this deal, I was like, oh yeah, let me add some of my new songs, because the stuff I was making in 2017 is nothing like 2023. And it's kind of like we were talking in the Discord about Submit Hub and stuff, like more like songs that are more similar to a specific genre or have the identity or the qualities of a genre, like that's in a lot of these songs and stuff like that, will probably fare better on this. They also fare better on Submit Hub and stuff. So if you're trying to do this for a living or things like that, you can kind of do like a 50-50 or 75-20, like whatever, but make the music you love and then make songs in genres you enjoy that are kind of, I don't want to say cliche, but have some of these similarities and things, but put your own expression on it. And if those can get chosen and stuff, then that's an option too, you know, but it's still your identity, like your song. You're just doing that. I don't know. It's just a thought, depending on where you want to go with your music and stuff. I wouldn't say that's like selling out, but it is playing the game a little bit, you know.
It is. Tina has decided to stand up. So why don't we move on to Koala and see what?
Let's get a quick zoom though first. You know,
it's just, and that's when she decided to turn around. So thank you, darling.
That's why we zoomed in. Yeah, that's why we zoomed in. I do want to say, David says that's very true, Curtis, about what you were saying. Very, very true. And Survey Channel says my chat is delayed, so it's sent twice. No problem at all. I was going to share it anyways, but I thought it was very important, so maybe you wanted to share it twice so we'd cover it. But don't worry, we always got you. And J Bell says, I thought you said Beyonce. Not sure in reference what that's in reference to, but yeah, all right. And he also says, hey, Tina. So shall we move on? I think we've exhausted the subject.
Let's do it. Koala's new mixer. Sunwalker came out of hibernation. I mean, if you think the Bandcamp one story was big, it is big, but nothing tickled Sunwalker's fancy. I woke up one morning to a wonderfully excited voice message about Koala's new mixer, and I hadn't heard from him for days. Which, if you are a fan of the show, you've been in for a while, it's not often that I go a couple of days without hearing from Sunwalker, but obvious reasons. But this is a story that brought him out of our hibernation. What's going on, Sunwalker?
Okay, before we go to that, though, I just have to share a little bit. J Bell, it sounds like he's got a personal problem with you, but he's asking publicly. He says, I want to ask Curtis about my baby jammies. So you can sort that out off episode. Just message Curtis. He's available to talk. Hydrofire says, I love this one. Nothing like breaking in a new mic by letting the cat rub its ass on it.
That's in the instructions, isn't it?
Yeah. And then Survey Channel says, will Curtis's 2316 polka track get licensed is the question. I mean, you never know what someone's looking for, right? There was in Home Alone, there was that whole polka section, you know, with who was the actor? John
Candy.
Yeah, John Candy. So you never know. You never know. Time signatures are just a myth anyways, right? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyways, Koala Sampler. Okay. I get excited about it because Koala Sampler is $5. There's one update that's $5, and then this new update that's $5. So $15 for a super powerful sampling app that can do a lot. And now it can do some things that even the SP404 can't do. And you know that piques my interest. So we'll just share a quick little video from Koala Sampler to show what happened. I'll talk a little bit about it, but I'm going to do a live demo next week on Audionaut. So if you want to check it out, watch it next week. We'll post that. We'll post the live stream the day before. But if you're new or you want to check it out, hit subscribe and we'll talk about it next week. But let's show this video. If you don't mind hitting play, Curtis. I like that bass line. So there's the mixer. And there's the effects. So they've added a mixer and 16 effects. So I'm going to stop it there because we'll do a proper demo. And if you have any questions, we'll be live with it so you can ask the questions. But basically, they've added 16 effects that are really good. They've added a master bus channel so you can master with the new effects they've added, like compression, limiting, EQ. If you like a little reverb on the master, you can put that there. And they've added 4 bus channels, so you can take every pad, which contains a sample each, and you can assign it a bus. They've even added side chaining. SP doesn't have side chaining. SP doesn't have all those multiple effects you can add per bus channel. So there's some stuff on this little $15 app if you buy all the updates that the SP, some of these things can't do. It's just really cool. It's in your phone and you can do all kinds of stuff. Really quick before I get your guys' opinion on it. Survey Channel says, wait, if I own Koala Sampler, will I get these goods? So there's 2 updates I would recommend buying if you use Koala Sampler, but this is the new update. It might just be called the Mixer update. It's $5. And then there's the Samurai update, which adds piano roll and a couple other things. So you have to buy it. So altogether it's about $15 but that's with the app, which is $5. So I think it's worth it if you use sampling, if you like to use your phone. You can sample sounds from an app like those synths we use and things like that, and it's awesome. Sounds like Survey Channel's not sold on it with the OOF, but I got to tell you, I've been using it. It changes everything with Koala. I'm really digging it.
There we go. To answer J-Bell's question, yes, the app is only $15.
So it's $5 for the app. Just to clarify, it's $5 for the app, but if you want all the other perks, there's a Samurai update, which adds a piano roll, a couple other things, and then it's another $5 for this new update. So all told, it would be $15, but you could just get the app and do a lot with just the app for $5. Oh, and Survey Channel says, I'll snag it. I have the Samurai update, I think. So it would just be another $5. In my opinion, it's highly worth it. You could master on there. I've been mastering with it. I'm going to do a video breaking down everything on my channel, and I'll be sharing my master chain on that. So that'll be there in a couple weeks because it'll be a while before I can film. But yeah, the effects are really, really good. David says, I have the app, but have not tested it out. I recommend you try it. It's awesome. And then J-Bell says, I like it, but I never take music I make on the phone serious. Is it like GarageBand? I don't like GarageBand at all. I make tons of songs on Koala. It's kind of like having an MPC that's like portable. You can chop samples. There's a lot of tactile things you can do in Koala, but it's all sample based. So you could put a synth sample in and then use chromatic mode, but you can't just like be like, I want a synth and throw a synth in and play on the synth. It's totally different from GarageBand. It is a sampler through and through.
I be curious. I'm a big fan of the Flip. I got the Flip sampler, and I'm a big fan of that. And I have the vanilla, and I believe I have the Samurai update. I haven't got the Mixer update or anything like that. It'd be interesting to see, and then maybe we could do a little kind of like show based around these.
I think a shootout would be good, or comparison would be cool. Yeah.
I'm sure Eon Lake's got everything. So
I have.
Wow, this is wow.
Trumpy's available.
Maybe that's what we need to do.
Koala, and I do like it, and I like how portable it is.
Yes.
And if you've ever wanted to do music, but I don't know, for some reason you're not allowed in the studio, this thing's perfect. You don't have to stop. You can carry on. And the biggest problem I've found with any kind of app that you do music on is you can't get enough dirt into it sometimes, and everything sounds a little surprised, man.
They've got the new bit cooker they added. They added a bit cooker, which is like this bit crusher, but you can change sample rate and bit rate, and you can get it to sound like, the SP1200. Dude, the effects they've added are crazy. And then I've put a drive on the master channel and just put the mix to like 5%. So you get a little, oh man, you can do some crazy stuff. We'll talk about it next week. You'll see. But that I think it's called bit cooker. And then they added a warble, like a vinyl. They've added some really cool effects. The only one I'm not that sold on is the reverb. It's a little weak, but they added on their Twitter, they mentioned they've added a Google form where you can put recommendations for effects. So they're looking to add effects and things like that. So, I mean, they're listening and doing all that. So yeah, I would recommend, if you like making music on your phone or want something portable, or like me, where you're in the house a lot. My plan was to have the SP with the computer, but I haven't even been able to get on that, but I can go on the phone and do little sampling workflows, because the way the workflow is, it's very easy to do quickly, and I just love the chopping of samples and things. So yeah. And David says, I love the iPad bit crusher and Cubasis or Valves. Yeah, I know you've been doing some good stuff with Cubasis, as I've heard, and I'm working on. So yeah,
we can talk more about that next week, live demo, and more getting into the benefits, pros and cons of mobile phone sampling down the line. So yeah, any more on that, or should we move across to the round robin?
No, we'll do enough of that next week.
63. So I'll make that a 63. So let me make a note of this. And as we go into the round robin, we will say.
I'm sorry, Curtis. Can I just interrupt you real quick? Because Survey Channel asked, I'm not seeing the mixer upgrade, maybe not available on Android yet. I don't know. That's a good question. I'll look into it. Do you have that mixer update?
You can do it. As in, if I do mixer, right? So if I go across to perform,
I think you click. That's right. Yeah, it's in perform, and on the bottom right, mixer. If you hit that, it says, "Do you want to update?" Yeah. Thanks, Curtis. Yeah. My sleepy deprived state is not having the. I bought this in like what mixer? Okay, I didn't know how I did it. Yeah. So if you go to the perform section, as Curtis said, and hit mixer on the bottom right. Let us know if you see it, Survey Channel. If not, we can talk after the episode. But it should be there, because Curtis is on Android. All right, Curtis, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Carry on, my friend.
No, it's totally good. We're over the round robin. I mean, just do the right way. Yeah. So the round robin. This was lovingly brought to us by FCC, who was meant to be guest hosting with us this week, but sadly was taken ill at the last minute. We hope you feel better, Paul. Sorry to hear that you're hopefully on the sofa feeling a bit better. But he brings this to us. The idea of inspirations and concepts within personal branding, which ties in quite nicely. If you've made an album and you're going to put it out through the all-in new invigorated Bandcamps that was been recently bought by Songtradr, and you're looking to get some sync licensing.
Nice. Smooth. And if you recently turned on to the episode, check earlier for all about Bandcamp and Songtradr.
Exactly.
If we just woke you up.
But it's an interesting conversation to be had. How the devil do we brand ourselves or create a personal brand about what is essentially our very vulnerable creative expression of the self? How do we get our inspiration? What are the themes and concepts, usefuls, good? Which ones are good? Which ones are bad? What are the pros and cons? And quite fundamentally, how do we take these ideas and apply it to a constant, and I stress constant, personal branding motif that people can identify with? And I use constant because some will take it one step further later on.
Or completely the other direction, right?
Exactly. That is the constant. The constant is nothing is constant.
Constants are changing. That's what I named my model. Curtis put models. He put the Curtis model, the Eon Lake model, and then I put for the Sunwarper model, Constants Are Changing, which is my favorite Boards of Canada song. But my life philosophy as well.
Exactly. So the question is, how do we brand ourselves and what do we do? And I thought it would be interesting to each share. I created this idea of a model, but it's in inverted commas. So people listening on Apple Podcasts, I am doing the bunny ears. I mean,
and he is showing his hands. It's not an AI model.
I'm sure, man. Definitely me. And I have made some. I've put some through. I made some assumptions. I what's the phrase? I allude to a couple of our patrons who who I'm inspired by, and I might, if I get anything wrong, if I say anything wrong or something you don't agree with, please let me know. But it's just to illustrate the different ways in which you can use your own creative expression to create this sort of brand, which we think of the word brand as icky and disgusting and horrible because it's, about making money. But, going back throughout history, musicians, artists, actors alike have all put on masks and performed. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. So
No?
where do we want to start, gentlemen? Should we start with Eon Lake, perhaps?
Yeah. Is there a direct question, or do I just explain my philosophy?
Well, okay. Let's
Curtis,
start
why
with.
don't you share yours first, and then share what you thought of Eon Lake's model as you coined it, and then we can go to Eon Lake, and then I can share mine at the end.
Okay. All right. Let's do that then. Well, to start simply, if you're new to me, all of my songs exist within one universe, which exists inside my head. The Voltang system. Every song is a connection and a little story and a little chapter in this ever-growing saga of this universe and these civilizations which are clashing, coming together, creating beauty and destruction. There are woods and there are creatures and there are landscapes, imagined landscapes, if you would. And they are ways in which I tell these stories, essentially. And yeah, so that's running through. So if you see through the artwork and you see through the stories and the chapters and the backstories to all my releases, they all exist in this kind of sphere. And I embody that consistently in my chaotic nature. That's kind of where I'm coming from, if that makes sense, if that's clear to you guys. So every time I sit down, I go into this little fantasy world and I unravel a little piece, a little bit more of what this universe exists.
All right,
Okay.
and then I love that model. I love your whole ethos around your music. But what would you describe Eon Lakes as? Let's put your words into Eon Lake's mouth, and then we'll let Eon Lake clarify.
Well, so I called the Eon Lake model, I call this the ideas and expressions of the inner self. Having discussed things with Howard quite a lot and where he's going with his kind of future releases, this is all about inner growth, inner expression, getting in touch with one's feelings. Am I on my way off the mark there, Eon Lake?
No, not at all. It's kind of nailed me. He knows where I'm coming from. So yeah, how do I best express this? I there's always something going on in my head when I'm writing something. It's always making me think of something. The point of Eon Lake as an artist that I'm exploring is it's all stuff to do with the human condition and existence and expressing these things. There's a quote about music that it expresses what cannot be expressed and upon which it's impossible to remain silent. And for me, the music that I love the most, that moves me the most, is emotive music that speaks to some yearning in you or some unresolved feelings in you or something like that. And that's kind of the stuff that I want to do. So yeah, I'm not as overt as Curtis as far as expressing that theme, really clearly, but there is always something in my head. Sometimes you might pick up on it because of the way a song is titled. There was a theme that ran all the way through my first album where it evolved from one thing to another. There's a reason it's called what it is. I don't do it necessarily to share that with anyone who's listening to it. It's more so that there's a theme for me to keep the imagination going, to try and get involved in it more, so that you're accessing something on a deeper level in you when you're trying to write it, rather than trying to be, some slightly pretentious, listen to too much prog rock in his youth sort of person, when a big album concept. It's more just so that there's something in the imagination, that it comes from somewhere, and that hopefully, if it means enough to you, that some of that will come across in the music. Because I quite like the idea of music as a form of communication, where you feel something, you write something, someone hears it, they feel what you felt, or something akin to it. I like that kind of idea, that wordless transmission of something. So yeah, usually there is something going on. It's usually about the human condition in some way, unresolved things, or existentialism or something.
Yeah.
But I try not to be too overt about it, because I don't want it to appear to be too self-interested or pleased with itself. It's not supposed to be clever necessarily. It's just
It
supposed
is what it is.
Yeah.
That's what I really like about yours, I think. Sorry to interject. The notion of it's the more you think about it, the more it kind of slips away, if that makes sense. Like a dream, like existence.
Kind of
Like
elusive,
yeah, and that's what I love about it. It's amazing in that regard. That's what I have to say about that.
Thank you.
Real quick, I'm not sure the section, because we've got latency between chat and this, but David was asking, is it validation, Eon Lake?
I don't think so, but I think maybe it is looking to connect on a different level, or not necessarily looking for, but thinking maybe there are parallels with other people, that it might mean something, that we're not alone in all of this, except when we are. But that's another concept. Yeah, I'm not sure about the question really, but
well, David, can if you can give some context. It's just because we are earlier than when you're seeing, so then when we get the chat, which is delayed as well, coming back, it's like a little while after, so it's hard to know the specific pinpoint. So if you want to give some context to the question, David, we'll be happy to ask you on. David did also say that this is fascinating, hearing others' concepts.
Well, I like that too. I like hearing how other people go about this too.
Yeah,
which brings us Sunwalker.
Sorry, I'm talking over. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking. I was just about to ask Sunwalker about the constant
change.
That is change. Yeah. Well, I think I took a little bit of branding differently. Just really quick, David did add some context. So, I'm going to throw it back to you really quick. He says, "Are you attempting to validate emotions?"
I don't think so. I think it's perhaps a lot of the time for me trying to express something that's kind of unresolvable in some respects. Often it's to do with the temporary nature of things and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's more just trying to work it out through the music a bit and express something that I can't really put to words very well.
Yeah, I get that. And I mean that when I saw Curtis's description for your model, I was like, well, son of a bitch. That's what I was going to say. so I had to think quick. And that's why I came up with my little constant search. So what I mean by that, though, is I think I took branding slightly different, because I'm thinking of it more what you present musically, artistically, conceptually per album, social media wise, all these kinds of things. I kind of look at it in a 360 perspective. And what I mean by constants are changing is embracing who I am in that moment. And each song, each album reflects that. Like, that's what I did. I mean, I've always done that with every song. I like to keep my song titles typically kind of vague, but to give a description of something or an image, and then use the artwork to reflect that, to be like, hey, this is what I was thinking when I made it. But, leave it vague enough that you can hear it any way you like. Like, that's my favorite kind of music, where you allude to something, a story, a concept, something like that, but then it's open-ended. And I also think when it comes to like the social media side of branding and even just your art, there is no such thing as constant, because we're humans and we change, and nothing's ever static, right? And so that's what I mean by constants are changing. Embrace that in your branding. Maybe that's not the best take, but that's what I've been doing, and it's been working, is that you just, who you are in that moment, express that and share that story. And like we always talk about when it comes to albums and things like that, you want to try to present a story to be relatable to someone listening, because that's the best way to kind of build a fan base, because you're sharing yourself, you're exposing vulnerabilities, things like that. But in doing so, you become relatable, and people who experience these same things, like like was saying, you're not alone in these things. They can go, oh yeah, that's how I'm feeling, or this song really expresses, even if it's instrumental, this song really expresses that sadness or melancholy I'm feeling right now, or and maybe it's a totally different reason for it from what the artist was expressing, but it's that subconscious feeling that's there. And I think that's what I'm trying to present. I'm very sleep deprived, and I came up with the idea quick because I was like, damn it, Eon Lake took my idea. But hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully it's not and it wasn't even Eon Lake. I shouldn't blame him. It was Curtis speaking for Eon Lake. So you both screwed me. But no, hopefully I'm making sense. Hopefully that's not too heavy. If I'm not making sense, let me know and I'll clarify. But it's basically just that, accept who you are in the moment and express that. And it's kind of hard, but be willing to share your emotions and vulnerabilities and things like that, and just be who you are. And yeah, maybe the songs are no longer the same, right? Like I always get worried if I'm releasing something, like the latest song I released a couple days ago is a wind chime that's like reverb to hell and back. And then I play a guitar on top of it, and there's no time signature. Like I said, time signatures are a myth. There's no time signature, nothing like that. But it was what I was feeling in that moment, all the anxiety with like a baby coming and like all the change and stuff. Like that's just what I felt. And I was like, I'm going to present that. And that's just, and if somebody relates to it, then great. And then over time, with different releases, you get different things. And like David said, yes, be authentic. So yeah.
Yeah. Something real, at least. Yeah.
Something real. I think we live in the age of authenticity, and I don't think that anything but the honest representation of what we are is anything but going to work. Like I always come back to it. They're saying sticking feathers up your bum does not make you a chicken, and I always come back to that. I love that quote, and it's like on my forehead.
Thanks for saving me the bother there.
Say again.
Thanks for saving me the bother. I don't need to experiment now.
It's just, we live in a world where everything's airbrushed and everything's out. But so the only thing that people do is connect with the reality and what it is. And your branding can change. The way you promote yourself and the way that you express yourself can change, obviously. But there's no room for anything but. There's no such thing as a cookie cutter, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work in that sense. And so, for example, there's like, to kind of get off on that, like some of the most creative and honest expressions that I've seen. And again, this is where I have a caveat. If I'm speaking ill of anyone, because I'm making assumptions, if I'm speaking ill of anyone, please let me know. But this is where some of the most honest expressions of the self that I've seen, for example, comes with aesthetic consistency and the abstractness of the artwork which is created. Now, the one that springs to mind is Survey Channel. Survey Channel's got this brilliant, aside from the sound, which if you play a Survey Channel sound, it's Survey Channel. But then if you look at the imagery and the art and the video work, the visual work and the artwork, it's so intrinsically Survey Channel. And you just know it coming off the bat. And in an instant, you know who it is. FCC, who came up with this round robin, is another one. You can look at the consistencies between FCC's artwork in particular, how he has gone for a very deliberate and a very well-rounded idea of what he wants to present to the world. And maybe that's taken time, I don't know, but it's really interesting because that really puts like your flag in the ground. You can kind of see where you're coming from in that regard. And
I think we all think that as well. I think we'd all agree on that, definitely.
Survey gave a little smiley. Unfortunately, gents, you guys can stay on, but I'm gonna have to hop off very soon. I got about 5 minutes.
Okay, well, I mean, we can bring this. This was actually coming to where we come to an end. These are ours, and it's important to have these conversations and see where we're at. ASF Stripe last week went into it, explained fully where he's coming from, and that is a beautiful, collaboration from the end with his father. We'd love to know more about people listening back, be it on the YouTube or on Spotify or anything like that. How are you branding yourself? What is it that you're doing? What is it that works for you? What have you found is a great way for you to be your authentic self? 'Cause that's really what it comes down to. How do you be authentic in the work that you make?
Yeah, definitely. And this came from Frequency Control Center, one of our patrons and our label mate. If you have things you'd like us to cover in the round robin or news, head to our Patreon. We've got a Discord channel for our patrons. We talk about all this kind of stuff, and we'd love to hear from you. And patrons, if you have anything for these round robins you'd like us to cover, we're always happy to talk about it. These, when they're brought to us, they're some of the most fun because we really have to think about it, and we love to consider all these things. And usually when someone asks it, they bring their own perspective as well. And it's just interesting to hear because, we can always talk about things we want to talk about, but it's great to hear and think about things maybe we don't necessarily think of quite often, and try to formalize it and put words to it.
For sure. We'll be back next week. Thanks for the shout. Appreciate it so much. Yeah, no, Survey Channel, we love what you do. It's beautiful. We'll be back next. Yeah, very much so. We'll be back next week. Thank you ever so much for coming in for the chat. The chat's been alive today. We love having you here. So thank you ever so much for your time, your energy. Thank you ever so much for contributing to the discussion. This is a community discussion by large. If you want to continue that discussion, we're in the Discord. We're there as much as possible. Come down, come say hi. Get the creative juices flowing. We've got a brand new channel where we're doing contests and collabs. My live stream after the show will be one from Survey Channel where I've got to make a song in 2316, I think, something weird like that. I've got to double check. Yeah, it's going to be chaos, but hey, it's going to be work. Love to you all. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, a couple final bits. David says this has been a tremendous show. Nice work. Really appreciate it. We wanted to do our due diligence. I did a lot of research on the Bandcamp. Curtis did too. And like I said, if you guys want us to check out this Songtradr Pro, patrons, let us know because we're happy to use some of the patron support. Give it a month, see what's there, and we can report back on what's going on. Let us know. I mean, it's interesting to know what they offer, but if nobody cares or is interested, it's all fine by us. It's all good. But the offer's there. We're willing to look into it. And it's great being back. It's been awesome talking with you all, patrons. It means a lot always to have your support and just talk. We'll talk on the Discord, and I am going to be doing a massive update to the Audionautic radio playlist. We hit over 500 followers on it, and we're getting streams on it. So if you have music to go on it, send it in the Discord. We have open for everyone Discord channel for the Audionautic playlist. I'm making a big radio edition. It's been a while since I've updated it because I've been a little busy, but it's coming. So just put it in there. And we will be back next week. Like I said, we're talking Koala Sampler. If you have any questions for it, hit us up in the Discord and we'll make sure to cover it. It will be live. So you can, if you guys have any sounds you want me to throw in it, send it over. I can make a song live or something with it. If you've got samples, send them over, put them in the Discord, and I'll mess with them live and we can make something weird and wonky with it. How's that sound?
It sounds awesome. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that.
All right. So put those, if you've got them, in the contest and collabs. I think that's what it's called, Discord channel. If you've got any sounds, one shots, loops, whatever that you want to hear sampled up and see what I can do with them, put them in there and I'll grab them and we'll do it for next week. But it's been great. We'll be back next week, 11 a.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. UTC. Whoa, I don't even have a sense of time right now. And here I go. Look at that. That's just, it's been nice being back with you guys.
ADSN time.
Yeah, ADSN time. Yeah. All right. Until next week. Thanks for watching.